introduced in the House and the Senate related to the privacy rights of individuals related to their email. There have been some agencies that have opined that individuals do not have an expectation of privacy when it comes to their email correspondence. I happen to strongly disagree and believe that Americans expect that their email is not being read by the federal government. And we have instances where this is happening without the knowledge and without any sort of approval process from the judiciary. It's essentially self-executing powers by federal agencies. There's a bill in the Senate. There are bills being introduced in the House related to this. And I guess, first of all, do you think this is an appropriate power that these agencies hold, yours included, that allows these departments to read individuals' emails without any sort of oversight by the judiciary, no check on that power? And if you think about any other situation in your home or in your personal papers, the Fourth Amendment protects those rights, that you, without a warrant or without proper oversight, that we have a reason to expect our own privacy. Do you think that's appropriate, and would you support legislation to restrict those powers in a way that still keeps the investigatory tools of the SEC, but respects the privacy rights of email for the individual?
Well, there's no question that privacy interests are extremely important. I mean, I think what we have actually weighed in on with a letter. I think I believe we're talking about the same piece of legislation, is that the SEC, among other agencies, will, in its enforcement function in particular, subpoena emails from individuals, and also subpoena them historically from Internet service providers. I think that the current legislation, we have a worry from our enforcement perspective, sweeps too broadly there with respect to Internet service providers, because it can result in our not being able to issue those subpoenas. There isn't, you could have a system that requires a search warrant for those. I think that some have advocated that. We obviously don't have the search warrant powers of the SEC. The Justice Department has that, where if you got a warrant, you would have to go before a judge before you could do that. But I think we have to be very careful that we aren't really gutting the enforcement powers. So I think we have to be very sensitive about the privacy interests, but I do worry about aspects of that legislation.
Well, do you think the current powers the SEC holds are appropriate given the Fourth Amendment right to protection and right of privacy without unnecessary searches by the federal government?
I do.
Okay. Well, we're going to have a debate about that in Congress, and many of us disagree, and we think that Americans do expect that they have a right to privacy in their email, and that the idea that the IRS or the SEC or any federal agency would be reading their emails without due cause or without any sort of oversight from the judiciary that we use for every other portion of our lives, whether it be our person, our effects, our papers, our housing, that somehow email would not have the same expectation of privacy, is a real issue for a lot of Americans. I think it's something that Congress is going to debate. We'd love to have a partnership in ensuring that we have a way to continue to have proper investigatory powers, but the status quo is completely unacceptable to many Americans, and I think it's going to be something that Congress is going to have to address.
I appreciate those comments completely, and I want to make sure we're not ships passing in the night. What I'm really referring to is the Enforcement Division's subpoenaing of emails, not reading them real time. So I take your point.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.